Hello and welcome to another episode of Witchy Business. Today, on the theme of doing things differently, I get to interview Anna.
Yay!
Doesn't it feel weird being in the hot
Yes.
seat?
Just
So,
before I was telling you, oh, I was on a friend's podcast last week, so this is fine. And now I'm like, oh, this is our podcast. This feels
yeah.
weird.
Yeah. So, yeah, we've got some exciting things to talk about.
Mhm.
All about your course that you're creating.
Yeah.
And yeah, what I loved in the episode where you were interviewing me and you started off by saying about the creative process behind like creating things, whether that's like a course or like a film, like we were talking about when you'd go to Blockbusters and you'd get like the the DVD or like video and you watch like the behind the scenes, and that's always so exciting. And so yeah, I'm really excited to hear your process and how this idea was born, and just to hear more about how you're bringing it to life. So can you share with us first, just tell us more about your course, what it is?
Yeah, so it's a full program on emotions, and that's what I'm calling it, just emotions, the energies in motion within you. And it's a program to help you feel. So not to help you feel better, not to help you manage how you're feeling, not to help you deal with what you're feeling, not to help you do things differently, just a place for you to learn how to feel. And obviously I've been in the space of emotions for a while, and this idea has been floating in my mind for a few months, but really I was tuning into this and knowing how to feel is something that I've been more or less like actively trying to figure out since I was 14. So it's been 20 years. 20 years of, like I've got this very vivid memory of going to see a psychologist when I was 14 and them telling me that they'll put me on drugs basically, and the person saying, so we'll numb these feelings that are too big for you right now. And that thought of numbing feelings, I was like, no, that's not what I want. I don't want to not feel. I want to be supported and held and helped to feel what I'm feeling. That's what I'm after. But I was 14. I didn't have, the understanding or the vocabulary to share that. And I'm really lucky that my parents didn't, push that, and that I then went to see a whole lot of different therapists and specialists and counselors and somatic workers. And over the years, yoga was my way into my feelings too. And that's why I trained as a teacher. And it was always like on my mind. I just didn't know what I was looking for with the feelings. And then I found maturation work, and that's, it's what you do in maturation, is that you learn to feel what you're feeling and to be with what's moving through you. And what's moving is emotions. It's those energies that are taking more and more place and that are in motion more and more dynamically within you. And it's something that I'm so passionate about. It's something that I really love. And I've been really tuning into how can I help people and how can I be the biggest, safest place for them to go really deep. And to me, it was creating this, which part of it will be more teachings of how do you recognize your emotions? How do you know what you're actually working with? How do you support yourself as you're feeling it? And then live calls, because that's where I get to support and hold space and help you see what you're not seeing so you can be deeper. And yeah, it feels like a really cool balance. And with all the feels that I'm feeling about it, I'm mainly super excited for it to finally be here.
Mm.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Mm.
It's really cool that you had the awareness at the age of 14 to just be like, it doesn't feel good to numb, because I can imagine a lot of people that age, and still, you know, all ages of life, but particularly when you're a teenager and you're just trying to figure out who you are, you just kind of accept like the medical professional opinion, right? So that's really cool that you not only had that awareness but also then had the support in your life, and now you're kind of, it feels like you're passing that on, you're then helping.
Yeah. And it is, to me, it's been so transformational to learn to be with what I'm with, and I'm still discovering what I'm feeling. You know, it's a never ending thing. There's so many layers, it's so complex, but in that exciting way of there's always something else to find out. And I could geek about it for hours and hours and hours, which I think is the right thing to create a program about, to create something that you're literally really excited about. So yeah,
definitely, and that you can talk about for hours and hours. It's definitely the right thing to do. So you're currently in the process of creating it, and you mentioned that so you're feeling mainly excited. What are the other feels?
The other feels, there's fear of, what if it's not good enough? What if it doesn't, really bring that transformation power to the people who do the course? Let's be honest, there's the fear of, what if nobody signs up? There's the fear of, what if, that's the fears. But it's not in a, I feel the fear and I'm going to do it anyway and push the fear aside. It's the fear helps me see what I need to work on and be with and hold space for. And and then you do it with ease and as much gentleness as I can. And and I'm almost like surprising myself as, how it's falling into place. And, because in my mind, I was like, it needs to be fully, completely ready, done, perfect before I even start talking about it. And instead it's got that energy where it's coming to life almost like despite me. I had someone ask me to come on their podcast, and they were like, I'd really like you to talk about feeling your feelings, because I coached them last year and that's what we talked about. And I was like, well, that's timely. and it is something that I talk about all the time. I think like anyone who listens to the podcast will notice that it is something that I talk about always. So it's taking shape very naturally, and it's becoming bigger than I would have thought that it could be. And I'm really dedicated to being the space that's big enough for that program. And so that looks like having my own maturation coach, so she can catch me on what I'm not realizing that I'm feeling, so I know what I'm working with. It's working with my own business coach who's trauma aware and works with a lot of energy. And it's just having a really good energy practice as well. And I've had a practice of tuning into what I'm feeling for a long time, so that's just now kind of up the ante, but it's always been there.
So all of that is like part of your process of creation, but also in doing that you're like living and breathing what this program is all about as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I love seeing that actually it's not that big a change for me to live and breathe what this program is about,
Yeah,
because it's already
you're already
been,
doing it.
yeah, already doing it. So might as well share it with people. It's literally, that's it. It's just like, this is what I do. It's who I am. And I might as well share it with people if it can help them. So that's the space that it comes from, really.
Yeah, I love that. What
Mm.
else is part of your process? Because I would imagine obviously your background as well in marketing and just kind of managing projects, creating things. How has that influenced what you're doing now?
Yeah, it's actually really interesting because that part of my brain is not like, I've put it down. I've decided that I'm working with this amazing coach and I'm letting her lead the way with that. And it's like almost week by week, I know what I need to do, and that's what I focus on. And I do that with as much clear energy and, yeah, intention as I can, bringing all of me into what I'm doing. And that's it. And I don't allow myself, I catch myself when I'm like, oh, I should also do this and this. And I'm like, no, you just focus on this. And it allows me to step away from who I used to be and to fully be in this space of who I am now and who I've been for a while, is to hold space for people. And so, yeah, it's been interesting because, yeah, that marketing brain's kind of taken a big sidestep, and it's really nice. It's just allowed a whole lot more space.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool.
Mm.
So, and would you say that that's like, because it sounds like there's like some learnings in there for you as well. It's like almost like we just recorded an episode on moon notes, and we were
Yeah.
talking about just kind of surrendering
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
trusting the process. It sounds like that's
Yeah, definitely. So being this supported in a creative process is a brand new experience for me.
wow.
Really is. And it's been so nourishing, loving, and healing to allow myself to be this supported. Because it's not that I've never been given this kind of support before, but I've never received this kind of support before. Like I've never allowed myself to fully receive in this way. And the big learning for me is that I can work and I can create without absolutely draining myself. And that's a huge learning because I've burnt out enough times, and this is the kind of work that the intention really with now being a coach is for my work to be part of what nourishes me. And it feels that way. I love the days where I have, like, actually today is, a day where I have the most coaching calls, and I love it. I feel so nourished at the end of the day. And when I coach, I'm always like sat on my couch and I feel really comfortable, and I always move beforehand, and it's all about like spaciousness and nourishment for them, but I'm in that space too. And yeah, it's the best space to be in. And starting to work with a business coach, the intention was to create a business structure that had systems that would support and nourish me, so I wouldn't have to drain myself to have a business, basically. So that's been like the big learning of creating this program.
Yeah, I love that. So that's your intention for you with this program. What is your intention for anyone taking the program?
To feel confident in feeling what they're feeling. Really to actually experience fully the magic that's there when you grow your ability to feel. Because, and I am sure I've shared this before, I've shared this with all my clients, like my aim with what I'm about to share is for people to get sick of me saying this. But if you're only allowing yourself to feel an espresso cup worth of anger, you're firstly using a lot of energy to make your anger fit in that espresso cup. But the espresso cup becomes the vessel from which you feel, which means that if there's joy and happiness and love and support and nourishment that's poured into that espresso cup, people can be pouring in liters and liters of love into you. You are only able to feel an espresso cup's worth. So then you don't understand why nothing's fulfilling you, why you don't feel so loved and so fulfilled and so at peace and all of these things that we aim to feel. And we get in this cycle of always seeking outside these tools, tips, solutions, things, material things, experiences that we buy, and new partners and new jobs and new friends, and my family is not right, and all of these things outside of us, hoping that that those people or those experiences or those things are going to be the solution that help us feel what we want to feel. And sometimes in the instant of the purchase or the meeting the new person or living a new experience, whatever else is there in that espresso cup kind of moves away, and the espresso cup is filled with what we think is only happiness. So we feel like that's worked, and then we don't understand why that goes away again. And developing your ability to feel is giving more space. The first step is to give more space to everything that we've been resisting so far. And that can feel triggering because it's not comfortable, it's not nice, to feel all of that. But when you develop your ability to feel, you upgrade from an espresso cup to a teacup, to a mug, to, your ability to feel feels bigger. And so then you can hold that amount of anger, but at the same time, you can hold, there's space for love to be in there too. There's space for joy to be in there too. There's space for sadness to exist at the same time. And that's, you're then feeling all of life. You're available to feel, and you're able to feel all the different emotions that life has to offer. And we tend to see them, Brene Brown talks about mad, glad, and sad, and as the top three, and then we bring in a few more. And it's interesting because doing research for the program, I've realized like no one is in agreement of how many emotions there are. It goes from like 6, 8, 15, 24, 27, 28, so, and it just makes you realize like the possibility of things we can feel, which is the real experience, is infinite. You just have to grow your ability to hold it. And that's my aim for people. And in saying that, when you're going to be feeling those things that are uncomfortable, I'm here to support you. But also that's why there's like a teaching part of the program, is teaching you how you can support yourself through that. Because as much as I can be there, there's no mini me that lives in your pocket that you can just like whip out at any moment. It's really developing your toolbox in a way. And I'm careful with that because it's not so much things to do. So it's not like another layer of something else to add to your morning routine that's already 4 hours long. And, so yeah, it's, I mean, I could keep going for hours and hours. about it.
Well,
But really it's to develop people's ability to feel so they can be present for all of life. And I think all of life has magic to share. So much, like the potential of life is, I mean, our brain can't conceptualize what all of that is. So yeah.
yeah. When I think about that,
It's like you
just,
can't grasp it.
yeah.
You can think about it and you have like a glimpse of possibility of everything and how magic life could be, but you can't grasp it. And
Yeah.
that's it. It just happens in these little like flashes and glimpses. And
Yeah. What would you say are, because you mentioned that lots of people have different ideas about how many emotions we have, but what would you say are like the most common, or the most, let's say, like most common emotions that we avoid?
sadness, anger, shame. And actually by avoiding those, we avoid joy, happiness, love, compassion. So we kind of actively or more consciously avoid mainly anger, sadness, shame, and many more. But what that results in is in us robbing ourselves of the opportunity to feel what we're actually trying to call in. Yeah. And I think a big thing that doesn't serve us is this tendency of seeing emotions on a spectrum, as if you had sadness and joy on two ends of a spectrum, when actually if you flip it and look at it from a different perspective, both of them can exist at the same time. And joy and sadness can exist at the same time. I've got like a very almost inappropriate example of being at a funeral, and it was a really, really sad day and a sad time. And I remember laughing because my mate made a really inappropriate joke that only like 4 or 5 of us, it was like a personal joke between us. And that moment was really funny. And it was joy amongst all the sadness. And in those moments, we have this confusion that adds another layer to it of, this isn't how I should be feeling, yet it's how I'm feeling. And confusion is, I was going to say a confusing emotion, but that's it. It's just got this like stickiness to it, this murkiness to it. Because confusion is when you think you should know and you don't. So you see it's already like quite layered, and yeah, I think like the clarity comes when you're able to be with it, to allow it to exist. And
yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, because in that example, I was just thinking like how I would feel. And for me, that brings up shame. It's like we're at a funeral, I shouldn't be laughing. And then the shame comes, and that's what you're saying. It's like we have this idea of what we should and shouldn't feel.
Yeah.
Which is so layered. And so,
And that's it. Like all the emotions are actually there all the time at the same time. And the ones that we suppress, it's almost as if like every time we push them aside, we're like nailing it on into our inside. So it's like always already there. No matter what else we're feeling, that's always already there, because we're not allowing it to have that motion, that movement, which it's meant to have, because it is an energy that's meant to move. And by suppressing it and repressing it, we're just like nailing it to the wall even more, so it can't move. So it's always already there. So even if we're feeling something else that we're wanting to feel, we're annoyed because that's always there as well.
Yeah.
As if it should go away, but we're not letting it move.
Yeah. Yeah. How is the structure of how is it going to tell us how is it going to work and what it looks like?
So what I've landed on so far, and I say so far because I really see this as something that will grow and evolve, like as people participate in it, I'm giving myself full permission to evolve it to better suit people. So far, it's a 4-month program where you have access to an online library of content with like more the teachings, which drop every 2 weeks. Mostly not to overwhelm people because it's a lot, so just so you have time to really digest everything. And so that comes every 2 weeks, and the alternate every 2 weeks, there's going to be a 2-hour group call. And within the 4 months, you'll have 3 1-to-1 sessions with me for an hour. And there'll be a group chat. And you have my support 1-to-1 on chat 24/7 as well. And I really wanted to have group sessions because there is so much power in being seen, in being witnessed, in being held in a safe, compassionate place. And there's a lot of power in seeing other people share things and noticing like how it resonates with you. And it actually helps you see more about yourself quicker, because you're like, oh, I wouldn't have thought about that, but that also lands. And sometimes it's like quite strange. It's just like, oh, okay, that actually is activating something in me as well. And so then the coaching can go deeper. And in a group session, even when you don't talk, you always get something out of it. And I find that really powerful. So I really wanted to have that space. And there'll be group coaching calls, but I also want to hold somatic sessions, when it's somatic movement or dance or yoga, because it's what I love. And hey, creating movement with our bodies allows what's inside of us to move as well. And
Yeah, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you say it's for?
Oh, it's for people who are sick of always being in the same place and who feel like they know all the tools, they've done so much work already, and yet they're always already there at the same place, kind of. It's for those who get that there's something bigger and deeper that's possible than just feeling good.
Yeah.
And who are really committed and curious about that, about what else is there than just the feeling good. Yeah, for anyone that, like when I share, like, yeah, I'm going to help you feel your feelings. If that makes you feel like the slightest bit excited, if you feel movement in you, if it alivens something, then I would say it's for you.
Yes, I love that. How can we find out more?
I think the easiest way, because I want to make sure that people who sign up, because 4 months is a commitment, so I want to make sure that it's the right fit for them. So either send me a DM or I'll pop it in the show notes to book a breakthrough call with me. And then we can figure out if it's the right fit. And in that call, we actually talk about what you're feeling, what you're struggling with, what's the emotion that's the hardest for you to feel, that you feel like you need support with, what made you interested in this in the first place. And then we figure out if it's the right fit for you, really, because it, you know me, I'm not interested in pushing a sale. Like I just want to make sure that it's the right fit for the person and that this is how I can best support them. And so that's how. Just DM me or I'll pop in a link in the show notes to book a call with me.
Amazing. Is there anything else that you would like to share before we wrap up?
Maybe just one thing, like for anyone that this like sparked something with, but no, that's not a sentence. For anyone that this conversation sparks something in.
We know what you mean.
It's so hard. That if you're feeling something that feels too big, it's because up until now it was too big, but now you can feel it. It's really safe for you to feel. It really is. And if you feel like you need support in feeling what you're feeling, then you know where to find me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a nice note to leave on.
And
you
it's
mentioned that
so freeing. Sorry, it's so freeing to feel. And actually, that's the thing that I really want to leave people with, is that we think that feeling is painful and difficult. The pain and the difficulty is in the resistance to feeling. Because feeling, can be uncomfortable because we don't know how to do it. But feeling what you're feeling and what's moving within you is what gives like space and possibility and freedom. Really, it is. I believe that 100%.
Thank you so much. I know this is going to be such an amazing program, and
thank you.
Going to help so many people. And yeah, for anyone who's been listening to our podcast, then you know, you do talk about this all the time. And I think even in our most recent episode before this one, you were sharing a little bit more about your experience, and to that point that you just made about how it's safe to now feel like you've been not feeling it excuse me, for so long, and now it's coming up and it's safe to feel. And so thank you for sharing all of that.
Thank you for giving me a space to share all of it. I feel super excited.
Good. And also, like, now that you're not in the hot seat, now we can go back to our
am I back in the co-host? Oh my god, I'm gonna stop talking.
Co-host zone. Oh well, I'm really excited for this as well, because I know how hard you've been working and how naturally this has been birthed into the world, which is really what we love, isn't it? Ease and flow. And so it just feels like a natural progression. And I love that you said you're leaving it open to evolve, and excited to see where it takes you.
Thank you, too.
Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you next week for another episode.